Hello friends, I am your friend MG from my channel Guruji. Today we'll tell you that what is DNS server, how it works, what types of our DNS, what is the port number. So let's start. DNS is very important part into our internet environment and client server architecture environment. DNS is a domain naming system or domain name server which is responsible to resolve host name into IP address and IP address into host name. DNS are two types: standalone DNS and AD integrated DNS. So let me show you a DNS. If I talk about my standalone DNS, it use only when we want to publish a site. We didn't require a AD database. That time we can use standalone DNS. If we want to become a centralized environment, we want to make a database, AD database, users, computers, groups, that time we have to be use AD integrated DNS. So which DNS which server I logged in, this is a AD integrated DNS. Let me show you AD. This is my portion. I open a server dashboard manager, and you can see Active Directory users and computers. This is the AD integrated DNS because it has a AD database. My DNS name is my.local, and this is my AD database. You can see computers, built-in domain controllers. Firstly, let me talk about a domain controller. What is a domain controller? So lots of questions are about the domain controllers. Domain controller is type of server that process request for authentication from users within a computer domain. DC are most commonly used in Active Directory domains, but are also used with other type of identity management system. Where we have a Active Directory authentication, we can call is domain controller. This is a server on that network that currently manage access for users, PCs and servers on network. It does using AD. So this is my domain controller. When we use a AD authentication, we can call it domain controller. If I talk about how DNS works, so assume we have a it.com site, and if end user wants to search it.com or google.com or youtube.com, once they enter the address and hit the enter button, that request through resolver, DNS resolver, comes into the DNS side. DNS check into their records that I have that site or not. Means, let me show you DNS. This is my DNS where records are stored. This is our DNS servers. So first, forward lookup zone store the names, which is store the records, host name into IP address, store information, all the things here. So we can see this is the my um, A record. In A record we can see the host name and their IP address, and this is my site name, right? If I want to create another record, so another sites, let me create any other site over here. New zone. First we have to create primary zone. There are three types of zone are here. Primary zone, create a copy of zone data can be updated directly on the server. Means the master copy, it store the master copy of the zone data. If I talk about the secondary zone, the create a copy of zone that existed on another server. Means it store a copy of the primary zone data, but it has only read permissions, not a write. In secondary zone we cannot modify the data. If I talk about stub zone, create a copy of zone containing only name server, start of authority, and possibly glue records. A means A records. We can say that it store only partially data, right? So let move on next. Enter the name. Let me create my site name here, Angel. com, right? I created a one site primary site here, angel.com. This is my site has created. Let me create a record here, a record, where a record means if I create I have a IIS server, just means D2, it's D2PIIS. This is my server name, right? So where it is located, or what is my site name? Just angel.com. My now my site will be angel dot my dot angel.com. Here I have to enter the IP address of the IIS server where the site is hosted. Let me enter is 192.168.1.100. This is just for testing purpose. But if we are on actual, if you are doing on actual on actual on the these on the servers, actual on the server, then we have to be enter the correct IP address of the IIS server. That time we can say that this is our IIS server address. Once I create a click on OK, then what will be done next? What will be the next? If now any user will search my.angel.com, what will be the happen? Means request come over here on the DNS server, then DNS check into our records for a lookup zone. It can find angel.com, right? It will open the records, then check the what is the IIS server address. This is the IIS server address. DNS forward the request to IIS server, and IIS server will provide a address, provide a output from there. This is the complete process how DNS works. If I this is the forward lookup zone. If I talk about the reverse lookup zone, means there are two zones into DNS server: forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. Forward lookup zone responsible to resolve hostname into IP address, and reverse lookup zone responsible to resolve IP address into domain name. Right now I talk about the conditional forwarding. Conditional forwarding means where you want to be, suppose you didn't have some sites, few sites you are into DR location or any other locations, then we can set the conditional link forward, that if any other services which we are not provided, we can set on the conditional forwarding. If we receive any request, then we can forward the request to conditional forwarding of particular servers. If I talk about the port numbers, then DNS uses a 53 port number, and this is the talking about the DNS. If DNS are using three types of query: recursive query, iterative query, and recursive query, iterative query. There are two types of query used by this. And there is one more important, what is authoritative and non-authoritative DNS. Authoritative DNS servers are response for the purpose mapping of records and to respond the recursive servers with important information for each website, such as compress binding, IP address, and other necessary DNS records. If we talk about non-authoritative name server, to do not contain the original files of domain zone, that have a cache files for the domains that is constructed from all the DNS lookups done previously. If a DNS server respond for a DNS query which does not have original files, is known as a non-authoritative. Means non-authoritative DNS didn't have a original, it provide output from the cache data. If I talk about authoritative provide original files, proper resolution, proper output, it comes into the authoritative. Okay, let's move into another one. If I talk about DNS, lots of things are here. In mainly thing is that DNS have a sites, primary site, secondary site, and other. We can say that top level domain, secondary domain. So top level domain always present from the .com, .in, .edu. These are the top level domain. Secondary level domain means that my.angel.com. So angel is a secondary level domain, right? So this is talk about the DNS. DNS is very important. Also, I will tell you that how we can create multiple records. I already told you that how we can create a record, which I created recently. This is my A record which I created. Next, create a CNAME. CNAME record is a canonical name record. In the CNAME, we have to provide a reference of the A record. We will open the for lookup zone, enter, and this is means we have to be provide a reference. Here I provide a reference of this record to in.angel.com. Right. CNAME we have to provide CNAME records provide a reference. Next, to go about the CNAME, we already created two records. Next comes to reverse lookup zone, how we can configure it. When we configure for a DNS server, by default forward lookup zone has configured automatically, but reverse lookup zone we have to be configured manually, depend on our IP parameters, all the things we have to be set here. Let me set here 192.168.1. Last digit it will set automatically. It will take from 1 to 255 255. This is I have created. Here we can create a PTR and C records. Also we can sync from these record from the forward lookup zone. We just have to set it at once we create a records. If we click on this, it will update automatically. If I want to show you that what is the default interval times, and lots of things are there. So by default DNS default interval times is 0 to 60 minutes. Within a 60 minute it should be update automatically, else we can run the GP update force for update the things. So today class is enough for the DNS, very important part. Thank you guys, thank you very much. Kindly subscribe my channel and press a bell icon. Thank you very much.